Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro. It's time to predict the 2021 SAG Nominations, Screen Actors Guild. I really enjoy predicting these awards, and historically I've done pretty well on them, like unreasonably so. I don't feel like I'm going to do as well as I have the other years, personally. But last year I like to brag about the fact that I predicted Nicole Kidman for Bombshell. You did fantastic on the SAG Awards last year, buddy, and you predicted it for Ensemble
There
as well.
are 2 years that I did like very well, and I got like in the top 25 and older. I did pretty fucking well.
The SAGs are weird because they're a combination of being like one of the most accurate predictors of the Oscars, but they're also known for like throwing in rando ass shit that you don't even see coming that just blows your mind. It really matters on if the studio is getting their screeners out. So like you'll see Little Women, Wolf of Wall Street, Django Unchained, Hateful Eight, movies that otherwise like just would have gotten nominations, just nothing for those movies because they have screener issues, all right? And often the movies that do well with screeners, they have an advantage, the ones that get out there first.
Yeah.
We've heard that The Father was a little late to the screeners. Judas and the Black Messiah is just such a late breaker that it could suffer. If Daniel Kaluuya doesn't get in, you'll know why. It was because of screeners.
I feel like Judas has its eye on the Oscars, and therefore it's not going to do as well at the SAGs.
It just happens every year, so it's gonna be something, you know?
Yeah. Minari, I'm curious about whether that got out there late because that's a smaller film that hasn't been released yet. So I'm wondering if that's had a hard time campaigning. They also don't have very many recognizable stars in the movie.
So let's take a look at our SAG Ensemble predictions. Trial of Chicago 7 really feels like the front runner here. SAGs are big on crowd pleasers, and it is a crowd pleaser. Ton of great performances.
It's just the definition of an ensemble movie where you can point out like 9 people and say they're all great, and that's what wins. That's what gets you a win.
Yeah, this was destined to win for like a long ass time, and if it doesn't win at the end of the day, it'll be shocking.
And if it doesn't win, it'll be Ma Rainey's Black Bottom that wins, which has less performances, but every one of them in the movie is great. This has to be a lock. That would be disgusting if it didn't get nominated.
It would also be disgusting if One Night in Miami didn't get nominated because each one of those 4 performances is just so amazing. But it goes without saying that this category in particular is just a shit show every year. Mm-hmm. Marriage Story, Shape of Water, movies that got 3 SAG nominations, no ensemble. Steve Jobs notable snub, Vice notable snub, like weird ass shit that you cannot explain.
Vice, how did Vice not get nominated for this award? There's some things that we'll never understand. It can be very shocking. We're always bracing ourselves for a shocker, especially in ensemble. Last year they nominated Bohemian Rhapsody. They nominated Beasts of No Nation one time.
Captain Fantastic.
They nominate some weird stuff.
And sometimes they nominate stuff that doesn't even make sense, like Theory of Everything. Like there are 2 great lead performances in that movie, and then everybody else is not that notable, but they still get a SAG nomination.
And even movies like The Big Sick that you just don't see coming get nominated.
But we are predicting Promising Young Woman for slot 4 because we're feeling the Get Out sort of trajectory happening with this movie, and it's been doing an excellent job campaigning and getting out those screeners, which is really important. Promising Young Woman actually does have a very good ensemble.
Promising Young Woman, there's a lot of performances in there around Carey Mulligan as the lead, and because her campaign's so strong, and because I think there's really good word of mouth on the movie itself, we're gonna stick it at number 4.
This is where people are gonna realize that Promising Young Woman's a big deal, and a lot of people don't realize it yet, and they think it's Nightcrawler, but it's not Nightcrawler. It's getting way more wins in major categories with critics than Nightcrawler ever did, and it's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be a thing, and here's where we're gonna find out if it's a thing. Oh, another disclaimer. I have the right to change any of my predictions after the Golden Globes, okay? The Golden Globes are the day before. These are going to be on February 3rd. If the Golden Globes do shit, I might copycat a little bit. I might change my predictions a little bit, and I reserve my constitutional right to do so.
Amen. The next one is hard, okay? This is hard. We're actually predicting the weird one this year. Like, we're not just saying, okay, maybe this. I think Hillbilly Elegy has a pretty good shot. I would not guarantee this by any means. But I would say, looking at the other ones, it has as good a shot as any. And considering that I actually think it's campaigning very well, and the fact that it has like Amy Adams and Glenn Close on the cover immediately, like catches your attention. Oh my God, they're gonna watch this movie with the great performances and great actors in it. There's so many people in SAG that I almost think of them as like more ordinary moviegoers, where they might not be caught in the echo chamber of hatred for Hillbilly Elegy. Hillbilly Elegy is a crowd pleaser, and most normal people will like it. And it has a lot of good performances in it. And it is an ensemble. Like, it makes a lot of sense, if not for the critics completely like panning the movie. But look at last year, they nominated Bohemian Rhapsody, okay? They don't always care. They don't always care.
They don't always nominate the most critically acclaimed movies.
Yeah.
The Butler, August Osage County. It's a lower rating than almost anything else that's been nominated as of late, but the critics were so negative on that one, even to a point that I don't understand, that I think that they're literally in different worlds on this one. Also, everybody kind of thinks Five Bloods is getting nominated, and I can definitely see it, even though it has a great ensemble, even though they might nominate Lindo and Bozeman. The movie is not like an audience favorite, and I think SAG is like the audience sometimes.
A little bit. But we do think it's going to get 2 nominations. So it wouldn't really be a surprise if it got nominated. The reason that Minari is slightly lower is because I wonder if it's going to have trouble like getting people's attention.
It's also just a little too indie for them. They tend to not really go that hard for indies. And also the question with Minari is, can Yo Jung-yoon get nominated? Can Steven Yeun get nominated? And they both have shots, but the whole movie could just be like right on the outside, not quite getting in there. It might be more critics' choice.
And I also don't know how well they did with putting out their screeners because it's a late movie.
And Mank just feels like a classic snub, like a classic snub.
Yeah.
It actually has not been getting many critics ensemble nominations at all, which even that is surprising.
Weird stuff that could happen. The Prom, I guess. The Prom.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for them to nominate musicals usually. But The Prom, I feel like right when it came out, it like peaked. And then now nobody cares.
It was a sugar rush. Judas, if somehow it was campaigning well enough, then it could. No Man Land, I don't think there's enough of an ensemble to make people say that's an ensemble movie, which is important for this category. They're not just going to nominate anything. Even La La Land, which won the PGA, like didn't even get nominated for SAG.
People used to think that the Best Picture winner had to get nominated at SAG. But A Shape of Water won Best Picture without a SAG nomination. Pieces of a Woman's getting 2 acting nominations, and there's a bit of an ensemble there, but
I think the movie overall is a little too dark for people. Because this is also kind of like a vote for a movie you like. Sound of Metal may not have enough of an ensemble to get nominated. Mauritanian, that could surprise, but we don't really know enough about it. And Palm Springs, if we're looking for really weird stuff that could happen, maybe.
Because sometimes they like
it has been sending out screeners. It has been doing a good job of that.
And although that's 15 movies, I am not convinced that that is the only pot they could pull from. Lead actor, Chadwick Boseman, probably going to win the SAG. Anthony Hopkins seems like he'll definitely get in. I don't think that the screener issues seem to be enough. They sent them out. They just did it a little later. If Hopkins or Coleman got snubbed, I would definitely blame it on that. But I feel like that's just a reality I don't see happening. That would be like a lot to snub them. Delroy Lindo and Riz Ahmed, I want to say that they're staples and they're going to be everywhere. We're just going to play it safe with Gary Oldman here because although I can see Steven Yeun or Kingsley Ben-Adir, I don't think they're like as likely.
This one's hard because I really think they're going to skip over Gary Oldman, but I don't know for who. Like I don't have an easy time saying who I think could replace him. And Eric Anderson at Awards Watch did write a piece on how Ben Affleck is being campaigned pretty hard for The Way Back, apparently. It's hard to predict that, but that is something that could pop up kind of out of nowhere if they're showing it to enough people. I could see if they're showing it to enough people. I mean, he's like a very heavily like lead performance. Everybody says he's great in it. Kingsley Ben-Adir I'm looking out for though. I could see him getting nominated. Even if it's the only place he gets nominated, I could see Kingsley Ben-Adir here. Steven Yeun, even assuming that the movie gets out to everybody and everybody sees it, his role is a little bit more supporting and less of like his movie than other people in this category. And you could say that about Kingsley Ben-Adir as well. And I mean, that's hindering both of them. Tahir Rahim is also somebody who could get nominated if the Mauritanian got its ass out there enough. I think Tom Hanks' News of the World is not likely. John David Washington, Malcolm and Marie, we'll see. Lakeith Stanfield and Judas, again, it's more of a Judas thing. I don't think it's going to pop up. Supernova, Colin Firth, I haven't really heard from Supernova at all. I don't know where that campaign is right now.
I don't think that campaign's that strong.
I don't even think it's happening, yeah.
And then lead actress, really no idea who's going to win this award, but Frances McDormand, I think, is just like easy to say that she's kind of number one for now. I can see Carey Mulligan and Viola Davis, like one of them winning the SAG actually over Frances McDormand. Viola Davis is just in there, and Vanessa Kirby, you can't bet against that. And we know that Pieces of a Woman has gotten their screeners out. And finally, perhaps not surprising considering the surprise you saw earlier, but Amy Adams and Hillbilly Elegy may get the number 5 slot. There's actually a lot of buzz that the SAG voters are digging Amy Adams and Hillbilly Elegy. This would probably mean that it gets 3 nominations at SAG, which is a lot.
I am very tempted to put Zendaya in because people are saying who've seen the movie, like, she's a lock, she's going to get nominated. And this is, again, where I'm cautious because I don't know if Malcolm and Marie has gotten their screeners out.
Sophia Loren, Life Ahead could also definitely happen. The reason Rachel Brosnahan is on here is because that movie sent out its screeners. You know what else sent out some screeners early? Rosamund Pike and Radioactive. These are performances that could be like the random thing that pops up. Elizabeth Moss could actually get nominated for The Invisible Man, kind of like how Lupita got nominated for Us. On the other hand, you know, Lupita was getting a lot more critic attention before that happened.
Yeah, that would be really weird if she got nominated.
Everything else, I'd be like pretty shocked by. Supporting actress, not really sure who's going to win this category, but Amanda Seyfried is like considered the front runner now. They got to nominate Ella Burstyn. They got to nominate Olivia Colman. You have a feeling that if anybody's going to like Hillbilly Elegy, it's SAG, and therefore Glenn Close gets in for sure.
Maria Baklava, it seems kind of unstoppable, and Borat is really campaigning. This is being put out there in their face. And so I think she gets in, and sadly, you're kicking out Yoo Jung-yoon in Minari, which is quite sad because she's very good in it. If she gets nominated, I won't forgive myself for not predicting her.
The SAGs and the Globes are a little less likely to go for like the little indies like Minari. So that's why it looks like Minari's low. But I do think the Oscars are going to really like Minari. I think that the Critics' Choice, Oscars, and maybe the BAFTAs can do a good job redeeming that.
And Jodie Foster in The Mauritanian, we predicted her for a Golden Globe nomination. I don't know if they go for it. I think that kind of weird slot in the Golden Globes that goes to like the Kathy Bates or, you know, even like the Jane Fonda in Youth, like it doesn't really overlap with SAGs. Helena Zengel, some people are saying she is the child and she is a child vote. Like they nominate kids sometimes. I don't think it's a strong enough trend that Helena Zengel is going to get nominated in it.
Supporting actor, this is the category that I expect. I just don't think I'm going to get more than 3 out of 5 on it. Like, I really think that this is going to be the shit show. Daniel Kaluuya might even not get nominated for Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah.
Remember, Regina King didn't get nominated for Beale Street.
Went on to win the Oscar.
And that probably had a screener issue.
And that was, people were attributing that to a screener issue.
If he does get nominated, he'll probably will win, but he might not get nominated. Like, that movie could get shut out, and I'm afraid of that. That would make this category a shit show for sure. And Sacha Baron Cohen would probably end up winning that award, which would be insane. Leslie Odom Jr. is going to get nominated. I think Chadwick Boseman's going to get nominated for The Five Bloods here. I don't know why, but I feel like the SAGs are the most likely to do that. In fact, they nominated James Gandolfini posthumously for Enough Said when nobody else did it. And number 5, this is brave. This is a brave pick that you and me are weary on.
Well, there's really nothing you can do that's not brave here.
Yeah, I think so, because Paul Raci seems like more of a Critics' Choice kind of guy. Globes and SAG are just less likely to nominate someone from like maybe a non-Best Picture film who's a newcomer.
Since Trial should probably be very popular with the SAGs, it wouldn't be surprising if a Trial Boy was in here. Now, I do acknowledge that they didn't nominate any Spotlight Boys, and yet Spotlight still won Ensemble. So it's not like they have to give it like a bunch of supporting actor nominations, but because I think this movie's going to play very well, we might expect to see Frank Langella and Mark Rylance. And so for a number 5 slot, I feel like they're pretty much even, but we have to pick one. This is a very hard task. Langella just feels like he is going to come up out of the corner at any second. Like I'm in a corn maze, and then any corner I turn, like he will be there. And so
you're in the Windows screen.
It's just a matter of time before he pops up somewhere, and I think this could be it.
But here's the other thing, is that Trial of Chicago 7 could really suffer from vote splitting, aside from Sacha Baron Cohen, who's getting the most votes. And we might even have already seen the effects of that. Nobody else has really been able to get in there. When you ask like regular moviegoers about the movie, they're like, oh, the judge was so good. He was such an awful person. I fucking hated the judge. But the guy who played him was so great. Like everybody says the same exact thing. There's definitely passion for Langella, and I can see it, but I'm so unconfident of this category that I feel like it's going to be something random I'll never even see coming. And so I'm just going to throw something at the wall and predict Langella.
We even have a number 8 contender that is viable, Bill Murray in On the Rocks. Like that could happen, but this is a stacked category. If we're looking for people who are long shots but could potentially get it, Bo Burnham in Promising Young Woman, like I could see that happening. Even if it's the only place he gets nominated, I could see it happening. He actually would be worthy of a nomination, I think. Glenn Turman in Ma Rainey. It's hard to stand out in that movie because the two leads are so ferocious. Supernova's nowhere to be seen.
Jared Strathairn's been getting an okay amount of critics nominations, but I feel like that's not going to translate that well to the major awards, and I'm not going near that prediction.
He's kind of barely in the movie. It would be weird.
Unfortunately, Yahya Abdul-Mateen feels like the trial boy who at first everybody thought had a real shot to be nominated, but for some reason, I'm seeing Mark Rylance and Frank Langella as being more likely than him to get to nomination, and then he's kind of left in the dust, even though I think that he was easily one of the best performances in the movie. And finally, we have Stunt Ensemble. Kind of interesting to have to whip up predictions for this category because we don't really think about stunts too much. Tenet is gonna win. Pretty amazing choreography. Lots of it was like reverse, and we all know that Nolan isn't cheating us on that stuff. I think Mulan makes sense. It seems like there are people who are floating. There's lots of battle scenes. Wonder Woman's like one of the only big budget action movies that actually got released this year. So that can probably get it. I wonder if like maybe Birds of Prey could take its spot. The Old Guard is an acclaimed action film on Netflix that a lot of people have been hyping up. I have not seen it myself, but it sounds like it's known for having like really quality action scenes. And The Invisible Man at number 5, I would love to see this happen. This is actually making me invested in the stunt ensemble category where I wouldn't otherwise be, because The Invisible Man had some really interesting stunts and a couple of key scenes. And those are our predictions for the 2021 SAG nominations. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Show us your best stunt in the comments.